Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Afternoon Market Action. My name is Glenn,
My name is Patrick France.
and we're glad to be here. Thank you all for being here for our afternoon action here. What's going on in the market today? Still, the market's doing what the market does, and it is what it is, but we're going to try to bring some sunshine in what we can probably call a dismal market. I guess that's a good way of saying it. If you're brand new to the channel, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so that you'll be alerted to when new streams or videos that either Patrick or I do, when they happen right away. But you got to hit the bell icon. And if you like the content, please don't forget to hit the like button. And you know something? I love what we do here, and I'm thinking that people in your social circles will like it as well. Take a moment right now, share this live link with people on your social circles, all right? Let them come see and give them some insight as to what's going on in the market, just like you're sitting right there getting that insight. And I know many of you are not subscribers to the VectorVest software, and that's fine. The analysis is here for you guys to get an understanding of what's really, truly going on in the market. And live, all right, get it live. We get to talk about some things that are on your mind. And, you know, I put up on our social media, on our YouTube, in our community chat, if you wanted some stocks for Patrick and I to look at on Wednesdays, put them there. And we only got 2 stocks this week, so Patrick's going to take one, and I'm going to take one. But that is a great place for you to go. And after we're done here, I'll put up another community chat and see what stocks that you're interested in. But you got to subscribe to the channel in order to get that information when it pops up. So keeping all of that in mind, folks, we're going to get busy. If you can hear us, type of VV Nation and also let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm looking at both the chat for Facebook and for YouTube. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Alberto says, Glenn, please make the market go up. Hold on.
Make a few phone calls, Glenn.
There we go. All right. That ought to do it. We're going to make the market go up. And there we go. Ask and you shall receive. Keith is tuning in from Albuquerque. You ever remember watching Bugs Bunny? And when he made a wrong turn, he says, I should have turned left at Albuquerque. Why did he always say Albuquerque? I don't know. But he always said Albuquerque. Huh? It's a funny word. That's why. Clyde says he's tuning in from North Las Vegas. Love this. Dan is tuning in from Sweden. Love that we have presence all across the globe. VV Nation Boston just made some baking and making some Cafe Bustelo. A man after my own heart. A man after my own heart. Wow, John on Facebook likes Palantir. That's a stock that I've been talking a lot about. I still think that it's still in its infancy. The stock just hasn't been doing so well. And it is what it is. It is what it is. But a man after my own heart, John, on Facebook. Manju says hello on Facebook. Alex says mission. All right. So all I'm saying is I'll put up the community chat. Either me or Patrick will put it up and put some stocks in there that you want us to look at for next week. I'm going to write down Palantir. Why? Because I like Palantir anyway. We'll look at it, and I'll look at it next week. I'll look at it next week. Palantir, PLTR. But again, the place to put your stocks is going to be on the community chat on YouTube. That's where you put. Lou says, I took profits today on Palantir. I still think that where it is right now, where it's trading and where it could go, it's 2 different things. As much as I like the stock, it's a tough stock to be in right now. I'm not telling anybody to go buy it, but I still think the company keeps getting contract after contract after contract. I look at it, it's got to do something eventually. When? Time it. All right, we got to time it. All right, so we're going to get hot and heavy into it. Let's talk about what's going on in the market. Let's start off there. And from that perspective, let's go look at the major indices today. All right, let's go look at, here's all 4 of them, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, and our VectorVest composite. Looks like we have a mixed market. All right, Dan says, I keep adding money to the ruble.
Hey,
Mm.
best performing currency out there right now.
Yeah, it is. It sort of kind of is. You can't disregard that. It is what it is. It is what it is. I think that when Russia said, "Screw all you Westerners, we're gonna take all payments in rubles," and the ruble took off like nobody's business.
Plus,
Judy,
also you can't take out currency from the country right now either.
oh, you can't.
Yeah, they've blocked all that, so you can't try to take any type of foreign currency out of the country. So that way, keeps their dollar floated for right now, or the ruble floated for right now.
Okay, I got you. Wendell says ASML update. Again, if you hadn't, I put out a video yesterday on semiconductors. ASML was one of the stocks that were in there. And for those of you who are looking for updates on those stocks that I talked about in the video, I'm already starting to tweet about updates on them in order to get those updates, because I'm not going to do video after video after video on the semiconductors, but I will tweet updates on those stocks that were in the video. But you got to follow me on Twitter. Go search for @Glenn Tompkins Jr. on Twitter. And every time I get an update on one of the stocks from yesterday's video, if you haven't already watched it, please go to our channel and watch it. ASML was in there, and I will be tweeting updates on those stocks. And Judy, all of those stocks that you just put in, put them into our community channel once I set that up. But Joey typed it in. It was on AMD, NVIDIA, TSMC, ASML was in there. A lot of good stocks. And check out the story. Check out the case that I tried to talk about in regards to the semiconductor space. It really does give more insight as to what's going on behind the space. Holy smokes. What did I just do? Now we got 3 of the indices going. When we first started, it was on 1 indice going up.
Well, we
did
have the
it.
Fed minutes just came out at 2.
Oh, that's true. That's right. The Fed minutes came out today. We'll probably take a look at what's going on from that. But what did I do? You asked me to make the market go up, and there it is. It had nothing to do with it. Had
Glenn
nothing
is
to do with the
magical.
Fed. It had nothing. It was me. It was all me. Wendell asked me to do it, or was it Alberto? Whichever. Somebody asked me to do it, and you saw me do it live, right, Patrick? They saw me do it live.
I mean, clip it and ship it.
Clip it and ship it. I did it live, and there goes. It had nothing to do with the Fed, folks. It had nothing to do with the Fed. All right. So as we're talking, and the Fed minutes did come out, and I don't know what was said in the minutes. We'll probably get a glimpse of that. We'll take a look at that, what they're saying. But let's go take a look at these. Everybody still knows, and I'm going to put this on the quad thingy, so we can look at all 4 of them at the same time. All right. We're looking at intraday 5-minute bars on all of the indices. We all still know the backstory of what's going on in the market. Inflation is still high. GDP has now gone down for 2 quarters in a row. So is it that we're in a recession? I think almost to textbook, yes. The only thing that's missing right now is the jobs picture. The jobs picture is still strong as opposed to what it should look like in a recessionary type of a situation. Roger says, good work, Glenn. Now, can you make SJT come back? I got out of my San Juan Basin. I think Patrick's going to talk a little bit about oil. As much as I think that the story on oil hasn't changed, oil is just getting beat up right now. And Patrick's going to talk a little bit more about that because that's one of the things that he's got stories on, or I think both of us. It doesn't matter. All right, but since the Fed came out with the minutes, look at the jump. You're looking at live on the Dow, on the S&P, on our VectorVest composite, and on the NASDAQ. But I want you to pay attention to something. Look at all of the wicks on all of these. Look at that quick give back right now. All right, so I don't know what the Fed said, and we're probably going to try to pull up some information on what the Fed said. But whatever the Fed said, I don't know if the market really like it. Patrick?
So I'm sending you something right now.
You sending it in Teams?
Yep.
Joey can get it.
So basically what it came out to be is, and they're more worried about inflation what they've been, or more than they've been over the last 6 months or so at least. And saying that if inflation doesn't start coming down soon, then they're going to have to be more restrictive So therefore, that could potentially lead to, even or slowing the economy down even more than they already have. So, as we know, a lot of people are already screaming, out that we may already or they may already be over compensating and, going to be slowing it down too fast, too much. And if they continue to do this, then obviously, we're guaranteed for a recession at that point, or
Well, it's
textbook recession at
interesting.
that point.
It's interesting that the Fed is having to walk that tightrope right now. And I think that Patrick's right. I think that they needed to raise interest rates a lot faster. But Patrick brings a good point to the table. The faster you raise it, and if you're raising it into an economy that's already slowing down, can you still be as hawkish? If the raising of the interest rates is already helping to slow down the economy, can you still raise interest rates into a slowing economy? That's the tough thing.
And that's
You
the
raise
big
the
issue
interest rates to slow the economy down. Now,
Well,
if the economy is starting to slow down, do you still keep raising?
you also got to keep in mind that, just because you raise interest rates doesn't change everything overnight. It's a slow process to see, how much of a response you're getting from each increase. So therefore, if they keep going every single meeting that they have, it's going to be a while before you see the effects of that. So that's what everybody's really worried about, is that, they're getting too far and not giving themselves enough time to see how much of an impact it's already having. I mean, that's standard Fed play right there, 101. That's what they've done every single time when they need to start raising rates. They push it, and then they get too far ahead of themselves. And next thing you know, we're in a recession, having a, bear market, which we've already seen. So yeah, every single recession we've ever seen since the Fed's been around has been created by them. So
Yep.
why would this time be any different?
It's monetary policy. That's what causes a recession, monetary policy. So, man, somebody asked what my Twitter was. Is at Glenn Tompkins Jr. Patrick's got a Twitter too. What's your Twitter?
PR France 88, I believe.
Okay. So we do tweet a lot of stuff on Twitter. And again, when it comes down to those stocks on that list that I did for the semiconductors, as I get more news about it, about those different stocks, I will be tweeting it. Clyde says, Roger, a recession is when your neighbor loses his job, but a depression is when you lose your own. Wow. Okay, that's an interesting way of putting it. Thank you for that article, Patrick. I appreciate that, bro.
Not a problem.
So
I've been looking for it ever since we started here today, so I've been a little distracted.
Boom, and there it is. Look at that response. Now, we had that one big bar, all of them, but you saw the wicks at the top of each one of those bars, and there's the give back. Now, interesting. Look at the wicks at the bottom of these bars, which show some buying pressure. So I'm thinking that the market's having a hard time making up its mind how it wants to digest this information. I don't think that Will's going to see, excuse me, a real understanding of how it's going to settle with the market until tomorrow. I think that this is knee-jerk reactionary stuff. And look at all of the bars responding.
Look at the volume, though. The volume was big on the big up minute that pulled back.
And it's not as big
on this little dip that we're having right now.
Yeah.
So I would favor more of the reversal than seeing the market coming right back up right now.
Well, that's interesting. But this is the beautiful thing about afternoon market action, is we're watching this stuff live, and we're going to keep this, in the background so that we can keep coming back to it as we start to look at our stocks. All right. So that's what's going on from a market perspective. Let's go see what some of the fastest moving sectors are. Go to the unit search tool, and I usually do a delta search, and I created a search. Called a 10-day price delta, strong industries. And what this search is looking for is a 10-day change in price on industries, but I also want to see a 20-day change in price greater than zero. So over the last 20 days, these industries are gone up, but I also want to see them going up even more over the last 10 days. That shows some strength behind the move in the industry. I'm going to run this search. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about today is going to be on biotech stocks. Why? Over the last 20 days, by price, it's gone up over 9%. But in the last 10 days, it's gone up even more, 11.5%. So a lot of stocks that I'm going to be talking about as far as my picks today are going to be in the biotech space. But also look at this. How about personal soap and cleaning? Went up about 1% over the last 20 days. But look at this, up 11% in the last 10 days. That is ideally what you'd like to see to find some stocks that are trending very much so right now. Folks, this is something that we can do in the VectorVest software. How many of you out there, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, how many of you utilize the VectorVest software? Type a yes if you do. Type a no if you don't. All right. How many
So
of
while they're
you
typing that in, what does that show that, basically 10% has been created within the last 10 days?
From a price perspective?
Yeah, from a price perspective.
That it's gone up 11% in the last 10 days. That's a big move. And that's from a trending perspective. That's huge. Let's do this. Let's go view the industry graph. Let's go put it on a 1-month graph. Let's go see. So over the last 10 days, look at that, Patrick. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at that. And the VectorVest software brings to the forefront this kind of move. Holy smokes, look at that. And Stephanie, Patrick's going to talk about LABU today. But how about this? 1% in the last 20 days, but 11% in the last 10 days. That's a nice move. I would really like to see more volume on this, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, and it's gone up 8 out of the last 10 days. Looks like you're preaching to the choir, sis. I mean, a lot of VectorVest people here. Not a lot.
Apparently, nobody's telling their friends about it and having them come and hang out with us as well.
I agree.
BB Nation needs to step their game up, man.
I don't disagree, but if you look at this, how cool is it? Go ahead. How cool is it for you to be able to very quickly define what's really trending at any given time, whether the market's bullish or bearish? To be able to do this kind of analysis is kind of cool. So I like this search. For y'all who are VectorVest subscribers, this is not in your software. This is something that I created for the purposes actually of Trending Thursday. I define what sectors are moving. But that's huge right there. Only look at that. It was almost 1%, up 1%, but now up almost 11% in the last 10 days. That shows some confirmation of move. And, out of the industries, we track 241 industries. How cool is it to be able to single out what industry is moving? And I can look at all, these are all nice. How about insurance brokers? Only up about 0.4% in the last 20 days, but now up over 6% in the last 10 days. This is a search, again, that I've created specifically for Trending Thursday, but I don't mind sharing it here from Afternoon Market Action to get a glimpse. And something, even though we probably neither one of us looked at any of these stocks, for those of you who are not subscribers, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you the top 5 stocks in this industry that's moving today. OBCI, Clorox. Did I not do a video? Either I did a video or it was one of the stocks that I was looking at last week, maybe. But up 1 point. This is just up today. But it's kind of cool that you have that kind of analysis to see what's moving right now. But Patrick's got some stocks to take a look at. I have some stocks to take a look at. Let's go back to the viewers tabs. Let's go get into the customer picks. All right. I didn't put them into either one of our lists. I made a list for them individually. So I've got customer picks. You want to start about with your stock, or you want me to start with the stock that I got?
I can start with Fate. That's fine with me.
You got it.
Yeah, so Fate was the one that I took this week, coming from the biotech industry. So as we know, biotech's been really one of the best performers recently. Um, Fate is a little bit interesting though. It's definitely a speculative play. I did a lot of research into it once we found, or once it came up in our list. I went through their website, looked through their filings, went through their pipeline, where everything is currently at. And it's still very, very speculative because basically they're treating tumors and cancers, and also some immune disorders as well. So I like the area because that is something that needs to happen. It's some type of technology, especially with stem cell research in general. Stem cells could be a huge benefit to people. Just knowing this from personal experience, that is looked at almost as a taboo, or at least it's been a taboo for quite some time in the US. Not as much in other places where they've been getting into it more, but in the US, stem cell research has been sort of a taboo um type of field, if you will. But there's a lot of potential with that to fix or heal or correct a lot of issues that people have on a regular basis. So I like the fact that this company seems to be focused more on that stem cell research or stem cell therapy to try to, cure cancers, basically. But the thing is that, I mean, that is all great. That's all, awesome technology that they're working on. But at the same time, the farthest along they don't have any products that they're actually selling. They're all of their lines so far, their products that they have are either in clinicals, or they're just getting into phase 1 trials. So with that, phase 1, they still have a lot of ways to go before they get, that approval and being able to actually put their product on the market. Now, on a positive, some of the phase 1 data that they have seen so far has come back with positive results. Looking at the uptake rates and all of that, plus also the harmful side effects or the inverse or adverse effects. They have zero adverse effects from any of the phase 1s that they've done so far. So that's definitely a positive for them. That's definitely moving in the right direction. Uh, from what I saw, some of their phase 1 data that they've released so far, they have good results. Maybe not the best results, but definitely a positive sign for that what they have or that they're working on can actually work. Um, but still, once again, it's still in phase 1 at most. So there's still a lot of risk you're taking. And I think that's why we're seeing fate therapies or therapeutics, continuing to decline, is because, everybody saw it. They got a little bit of a hype going on, if you will. Let's go ahead. Oh, I got a request control. But at the same time, they got a little ahead of themselves, basically. So they were doing well. I think we saw, a lot of people catching on to it, pumping the stock up. Let's go zoom out. But on a 6-month basis, you're definitely in a steady decline. On a 1-year basis, still in a steady decline. Also, one of the things with it, you look at their earnings, because as we always talk about, earnings is going to be the engine that drives stock prices higher over time. And their earnings have been steadily declining here over the last year, which makes sense, especially for an early development stage type of company out there. So yeah, they're spending a lot of money because they have a lot of trials out there, but I don't think we're quite at the bottom. Maybe we are, but I think this is a speculative play. If you can keep an eye on it, wait to see if you can find, or wait till they put out more data confirming that what they have is working. That may be a better opportunity to jump on board rather than waiting or jumping on board right now. Because as you can see, if you try to buy on this little uptick, came back down. Try to buy on this little uptick, lost money. This little uptick, lost money. So right now, if you're trying to play fate, you're trying to catch a falling knife. And most of the time, you're going to get hurt doing that. So with this one, I like the play. I like what's going on with it, but at the same time, I need to see more developments from the company, and moving into a phase 2 trial at least, before I would really consider jumping on board with it. So while I like the stock, I like what they're doing, they're definitely in a area that has a lot of potential. We just need to see a little bit more confirmation of that, to get in basically, removing a little bit of that risk, but also, taking a little bit of reward, I'm okay with, because there's still a lot of potential reward for this kind of stock. But you need to, I'd wait to see a little bit more risk taken off before jumping in and, trying to play this one here. So that's where I stand on this from doing the research, looking at it. It's a good stock, but you need to see it. It's still very, very speculative at this stage.
Couple of things I do like. Well, a thing I like about the stock, looking at this is a 1-year graph. Patrick put on a 1-year graph.
Yep.
This is the first time in a year, Patrick, that the stock is broken through the downtrend. So I think that the news that you brought to the table about the stock, I think that for the first time in a year, it has the potential to break above the downtrend. The 3 and the
But
8,
I mean, you can scroll back even further, and the stock's still been in a steady decline.
yeah,
It went from 120 at a high all the way down to where it's at right now.
I just like looking at the 1 year, that bump up. I'm trying to argue for the case of the stock.
Yeah.
I do like the bump up. I do like that RT is above 1. It's not the first time, but I think you're right. Not only did it break out of the downtrend, though, it's sitting at a level of resistance, and it stopped today and yesterday right at that level of resistance of 29.77. And then it's got another level of resistance. But I do like that just over the last year that the stock is above the downtrend. Now, with a lot...
Glenn, before you go any further, though,
yeah,
from a bull case, I like it at that low because on a 5-year basis, it had a double bottom there right around, I believe it was like 1676 or somewhere around that point.
Okay.
I like it at that point. But I mean, at this stage, if you get in, your next support level is that double bottom at 16. I mean, you're almost taking a 50% haircut before cutting your loss if you're not following some money management on it.
So the other part of it is that with a lot of drug companies, most drug companies are news driven.
Yep.
And the stuff that you talked about that's in the pipeline could be influential enough to push the stock's price higher, but they're in early stages. I think that you're right that if some of those stories were in phase 2 or phase 3, this could have a little bit more move to the upside and breaking through a couple of these levels of resistance. But I'm with you. I'm thinking that from a speculative play, it's way overvalued. And what's happening? Price is moving down to meet the value.
Well, because the company, I mean, with all these kind of companies, they're spending money spending money left and right, and just burning.
You know why they do it?
As fast as they can.
You know why they do it? To get the drug out. And if the FDA says no, all that money goes to the wayside. All that money goes away.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think a phase 1 announcement is going to be enough to trigger the big run from the news standpoint.
But it's interesting to see that just over the last year, it has broken through the downtrend the first time. So I do like that. But I don't, I'm with you. I don't think they have enough in the pipeline to really continue that move to the upside. All right. So that was the pick that Patrick took. And again, for those of you who want us to look at stocks next week, you have to subscribe to the channel. You'll be able to get that community post when it comes up. That's where you post your stocks. All right. For me, I took Pfizer. Somebody wanted us to take a look at Pfizer, and I got a story on it. Where's it at? Before we get to Patrick's first story, where's it at? There it is. All right. As COVID cases decline, is it time to drop Pfizer? Pfizer was all about COVID-19. Leading drug maker experienced robust growth over the past year, primarily based on growing demand for its COVID vaccines. However, As COVID cases decline, will the company be able to maintain its growth trajectory? And there's the story on looking at Pfizer. So what I did, I'm going to come back to this, and I'm going to come back to this. I got them pulled up on biopharmacatalyst.com, and I'm looking at their upcoming catalysts. On June 30th, they had a catalyst of a drug called something that I'm not going to try to say, but it was in phase 1 of 2. Pfizer announces submission of a new drug application to the U.S. FDA for Paxlovid. So it still seems like a lot of the drugs that they're working on are still in conjunction with COVID. Now, if we get to a point, if we get in, Maria says, Pfizer hasn't moved since I've been with VectorVest over 2.5 years. And I remember when they were the first one, they were Pfizer along with BioNTech, were the first ones that got FDA full approval, not EAU, not the emergency EUA, emergency use authorization. They were the first ones to get FDA approval. And I did a video stating that I thought that Pfizer was just going to shoot to the moon, that the sky was the limit, because it was the first drug out of the trough of drugs that were being used by Operation Warp Speed to get a vaccine out to the American people. It just never happened. It just never happened. But Pfizer continues to make a lot of money. Why? Because the government bought all of those vaccines so that they could give it out to the American people for free. So we got our shots. I got my shot. I just never got a booster. So I got my 2 shots. I got the Pfizer shot, 2 shots. And because my wife is in the medical field, she not only did she get her shots, but she got the boosters. I didn't get the boosters. So Pfizer was primarily on the playing field of the COVID vaccine. But interesting, Patrick came up with a story that stated that there was another country that was ready to throw away vaccines because nobody was using them. So it's an interesting dichotomy of sorts. But again, Pfizer is a company that's been around for quite some time. I'm not going to call this nearly as speculative a play as Fate. Why? Because it's got good upside potential with relative value at 1.6. It's got good safety. The company continues to meet or exceed its earnings. They grow their earnings at a clip of 33%. Earnings per share at $5.43 on a $52 stock. And it's a drug company that's undervalued. That doesn't happen much, especially in the drug space. Most companies, and as Patrick said, they put a lot of money into these drugs, and if they don't get approved, they lose all of that money. So a lot of drug companies are overvalued. But this is a solid company, an undervalued company, and I'm just looking at what's in their pipeline. They're in phase 3 on a drug called relugolix. I don't know what it is.
This is going to be fun hearing Glenn pronounce a bunch of drugs.
Whatever. And then they got a PDUFA on another drug, still on relugolix. So they're in phase 3 and PDUFA. They're in phase 1 of another drug. I'm not saying that. And phase 2 on another drug called etrasimod. They've got a lot of drugs in their pipeline, but you would think that they would, because they are an established drug company. They're not a fly-by-night drug company. So Pfizer, I still think from a fundamental standpoint, and with all of the drugs that they do have in the pipeline, they're a well-established company. I do like it, but a lot of their focus right now is still on COVID. And if COVID is really starting to get in the rearview mirror of things, it's going to affect Pfizer. It's going to affect Moderna. It's going to affect all of these companies who were aggressively going after getting a vaccine for people for COVID. Interesting. I was watching. I'm on this Paramount thing. I was watching something on Paramount, something called The Secrets of America or something like that. And one of them was talking about the Spanish flu, how it came and how it went away. And it's sort of kind of, I don't want to, I'm going to start a conspiracy theory that COVID came, but then it almost sort of kind of went away. All right. But, that's
let me get your
login
login details for Paramount, please. After the stream today.
You want, I'll hook you up. I hook you up. It's not Netflix, so Paramount's not looking at it. Now, Netflix, they're not looking at it on Paramount. I got you, bro. I got you. All right. So in my thinking, I do like Pfizer as a long-term play, as an established company, and not as a speculative play. Pfizer's been around. Let's go view the stock graph. And Maria's right, though. Since COVID, man, this stock just hasn't. And there it is. It's definitely moving sideways. I do like, and there it is. I did the video way back here, and it says, hey, sky's the limit. The Delta variant will be the driver, blah, blah, blah. And it ran. It did run. It ran after I hit after the video. But since then, Maria, you're right. Look at it. Just sitting in a sideways channel. The company makes money, though. The company makes money. Earnings, though, has been flattening out. It's been flattening out. But during COVID, man, they sold all those drugs. They sold all those vaccines. They were making money. And then now it's just meandering along. And so
would you say they got a little booster
stocks.
back then?
Huh?
Would you say they got a little booster back then?
Yeah, they got a little booster right here.
They got their booster.
Hold on, I'm gonna do this. Record scratch. There you go. They got a little booster back there. Everybody who's asking about stocks, about individual stocks, I'm giving you an opportunity when we put up the community chat on the community post. That's the place you put your stocks. All right. I made money on Novavax and lost money with PFE, says Maria. I got you.
So I think it was Moderna, if I'm not mistaken. It was Moderna's CEO during the World Economic Forum that was going on a month or so ago. They were the ones who said that they dumped 30 million doses in the trash, right? Or because nobody was buying their vaccine.
Look at the Moderna compared to Pfizer.
Yeah.
Look at Moderna. Pfizer is an
Pfizer's a household name, and Pfizer has a lot of other products already out there.
Absolutely. So
I
do like the Pfizer play. But I like the Pfizer play because it is an established company, and it does have a lot of other drugs that I can't pronounce from their website. I can't pronounce. I'm not going to even try to pronounce these names. I don't know why they come up with these stupid long names. Why can't they say, hey, this drug is Felix, and that's it. Or this drug is nameless. Or what? I don't know. I'm just coming up with names.
Just give them letters.
Just give them letters. All right.
Start naming drugs A, B, C, D, and just go through them.
You can say blue pill, Glenn. I didn't. Wow. I'm blushing. Can you tell? I'm blushing a little bit. Wow, Mark. That was
old man problems.
That was interesting. That was interesting to say the least. Oh my. Woo. I am turning a bit red. And that's tough to see on me. All right. So those were the two stocks. That you guys put in the community chat. And again, after this live stream, we're going to put up another community chat. And that's where you're going to, wow. And Sonny says, ain't no big thing. Wow.
Glenn, it's for high blood pressure, right?
Yeah, I got the high blood pressure too. Yeah, that's what it's for. The Spanish flu never went away. I am a victim by hereditary bloodline. Let me tell you, I watched that thing about and how it affected people going into World War II and the whole 9 yards. It was very interesting documentary on that and all that. All right. We're going to start with you. Let's go look at your stocks. Look at your stories. Well, we'll alternate the stories. All right. This first story was yours.
Yeah, so this first one I thought was pretty interesting. I found it over the weekend, so I wanted to bring it up here. Talking about China, obviously the second largest economy. One of the things that doesn't get talked about very much, at least on Western media, is their Road and Belt initiative that they've been starting since 2013, where they're trying to basically connect China directly to Europe, Africa, Asia, pretty much everywhere except for the United States or except for the Americas. And they've been funding through their shadow banking all these different projects to all these different countries, giving them money to be able to build their One Belt, One Road initiative. But they've also been giving money or loans out to these countries for other side projects as well. Well, after COVID, all of a sudden, a lot of countries have been struggling. We've seen the rise in inflation, and third world or non-developed countries have been struggling with that. And this talks about how a lot of these nations or countries that have been taking these loans for the One Belt, One Road initiative are struggling and maybe having to restructure their loans to try to get them to more favorable terms. And therefore China could be missing out on a huge chunk of change that should have been, that they were expecting to make, that they may not be able to get back right now unless they go into some sort of restructuring program. And from what this article goes into, China has had a big issue of not really trying to help out with their distressed borrowers to be able to restructure these loans. Also, with some of the things in here, I thought were interesting, talking about how basically China has made these loans and the verbiage of these loans almost impossible to understand. And I think towards the very bottom, it gets into some weird things that China has even in these loans, or written in these loans, that could kind of surprise a lot of people. But here's one of the things: the poorest countries face 35 billion in debt service payments to officials and private sector creditors in 2022, with over 40% of that due to China, according to the World Bank. So basically half of 35 billion. So a pretty decent chunk of change that could be that China is expecting to get could go missing all of a sudden. Yeah, basically predatory loans, if you want to call them that. But China's been doing this across all of Europe, Africa, Asia, India, and this could potentially backfire on them. And right now, with everybody talking about the U.S. recession and everything, the reason why I feel like this is so important is because right now it feels like it's not about who goes into recession first, or it's not about if the U.S. goes into recession. The U.S. is focused on trying to stay afloat until somebody else goes down, and then they can blame that on them. So basically, the second largest economy, getting into conspiracy theories again, right?
I think that's hilarious, bro.
But I mean, basically, if China starts having issues with these loans, and China starts having issues from a global aspect of things, and starts going into recession, then the U.S. goes into recession, and then everybody points the finger at China rather than pointing it at the U.S., where right now they're doing that. So I think this has a lot of interesting implications for that big question of which big country is going to be the one that really starts putting us into that bigger depression or bigger recession that everybody keeps speculating about over the next 12 months or so. But let's see if I come down a little. What's that?
I think that because we are a global economy, we're all getting affected. Interest rates, inflation is high everywhere. And I think that once one person is in a recession, we'll all be there. But I like the statement that we can blame China because China started it.
I mean, but that's what happened in 2007, 2008 as well. Unfortunately, the U.S., at the very beginning, the U.S. recession was, the U.S. was actually holding steady. And then who was it? Europe, I think, was the main, started going under first. Then you saw that chain reaction, eventually the U.S., and now everybody focuses on the U.S. at that point, because that was obviously, as big as it was, the U.S. being the biggest economy had the most impact. But let's see, where was it? I found
about 5,000 loans and grants extended to 152 countries.
Yep.
That's a lot of freaking dough.
So examinations of 100 Chinese loans with 24 low and middle income countries show that when compared to those of bilateral, multilateral commercial creditors, demand for unusual level of confidentiality. And this is what I was talking about that seemed kind of weird. In some cases, even the fact that the contract's existence, or even the fact of the contract's existence, was part of the rules or part of the, criteria for this loan. you can't even talk about this loan being out there or that we've made this deal just to get these loans to some of these
Oh,
low to middle income countries. So, I mean, it's really weird going through. I don't have time. Obviously, I'm not going to spend the whole time going through every single aspect of it, but some of the stuff that, China puts in their loans makes it extremely difficult to decipher what's actually going on, who's the actual parties inside of these loans. Because with the shadow banking of China, you have, all these different smaller banks that are making these loans. So you could have one country getting two or three different loans from these different Chinese banks, but they're all really coming from, the Chinese national bank, basically.
wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of issues that could arise from this if they don't get these restructured in a timely manner. So definitely something to keep an eye on, and at least a story to follow along with as we move forward throughout 2022 and coming into 2023, especially.
Interesting. All right. Next story is on oil. But before I do that, I got a comment posted up there. Russia's trade with China, India, Brazil, and South Africa has jumped
BRICS.
38%. Why? Because nobody in the West is buying your crap.
Well, they're also part of the BRICS. They have the BRICS monetary system that they can trade through directly to one another. And the fact that nobody else can trade with Russia right now, since they're off the SWIFT system, that's their go-to right now with the BRICS countries or the BRICS bloc. That's who they have to be able to sell to, because they already have a system in place to be able to make these international transactions through. So of course you're going to see an increase in Russia trading with these countries, because they're the ones who can access those markets currently. Everybody else is off or can't access the markets unless you want to, get into the whole conversion of US dollars to rubles and then doing all that. So that's why you're going to see that.
Gotcha. Here's the oil story. Oil drops to 12-week low on recession, COVID-19 worries. I still think that, again, I guess I have to change my tune. I still think that long-term oil is still a good place to be. But Mark is asking, what's happened? It's gone down. It's getting beaten up like nobody's business. Oil prices dropped to a 12-week low in volatile trade Wednesday, which is today, extending Tuesday's heavy losses as growing fears of demand destruction from a global recession outweighed supply concerns. So supply is still an issue, but now remember what I said, and I said, it's going to all start right here. If we want the price of oil to go down, we want gas to go down, we're going to stop driving. Why? Because then if the demand dries up, then we get more supply, right? To a certain degree. That's another way of getting supply. If you don't use what's there, supply will grow because the demand will start to dwindle.
Why don't you go scrap that gas guzzler you have then?
Yeah, because right now it's sitting on the side. I haven't been driving it. And I think that a lot of people who have big old trucks like me, which is a secondary vehicle, are probably doing the same thing. I think that the people who are paying the higher prices begrudgingly are the people who have the drive every single day. But I still think that people are starting to stay at home if they live far away from work. And just like we did in COVID, we didn't go to work. Gas dropped, oil dropped because nobody was using it. All right, so I think that we're in the same situation. Ms. McClintock
the good days
says,
of COVID, man.
Huh?
I miss those days. Those are the good days of COVID when nobody was on the roads.
Yeah, that's true too.
I
Glenn,
miss
did
those
you
days.
see
That's the only thing I
RFP?
miss about it.
A 15-ish stock, Canadian lumber down 14%. Yes.
Yeah, I was looking at that today to put a potential story on it, but it's just a buyout. Can't really trade it.
Oh,
Can't
is that
really
what
make
it
money off
is?
it at this point.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then you're not going to be able to buy it.
Yeah.
All right. So I didn't see that on RFP. Did I not do a story on? I did a story on that for some other reason, though. All right. But getting back to the oil story, I think that it's time right now to still be a little bit bearish on it. I still think that overall it's probably going to do better. But if the demand does continue to continue to decrease, oil is going to be in for a move to the downside. And you know that one of Patrick's stocks this week is going to be drip. He'll talk a little bit about it. I think that as much as I like oil being the play, I think you got to back off right now. And maybe the demand or the lack thereof will eventually bring oil is even lower. I don't know what it's trading at right now.
Just slightly below 100, I
So
believe.
slightly
Somewhere right around there.
below 100. It was at one point like up to 125, almost 130. That's a big drop.
So let me also, we can take a look at the graph of this, but let me bring up another aspect that I've been thinking about since, we've seen oil starting to decline and this back and forth between recession and supply. Oil's been on a run ever since November of 2020. It's been steadily moving higher. Granted, after COVID lockdowns and all that, we've seen prices spiking even faster, and what goes up must come down.
Yep.
So of course you're going to see a bigger move to the downside when it pulls back because it's had a crazy run over the last 2.5 years. But this is the thing. We talked about what the Fed said earlier. With if they can't get inflation down in the near future, then they're going to have to be more restrictive and they're going to have to be more aggressive with the rate hikes. With oil dropping as fast as it's dropping, oil's been the number one cause for this inflation that we've seen so far. So if oil's dropping, that's going to make inflation look a lot better than what it has been. And then all of a sudden, the Fed starts, slowing down because they see inflation dropping. They're not as aggressive. All of a sudden, you have people jumping back into the markets thinking we're off to the races. And next thing you know, we're going to the moon, basically, continuing the uptrend.
It's interesting. Oil is a big contributor, but not the only contributor. I still think that when you look at inflation, inflated prices are across the board. Now, oil feels big. Oil because we feel it in our gas tank, but we also feel it in our shopping, just in general. We also feel it in another big factor, which is food. Those things inflation has not gone down on. Now, there's not going to be a factor that pulls those down because on some of them, because on a retail perspective, certain companies, certain retail stores will still thrive. But the Michael Kors and even the Macy's and all of those may feel the effect because people are not going to have the disposable income to go after the higher priced stuff. But the Walmarts, the Targets, the Dollar Generals will still be fine in this recessionary standpoint because people are going to look to cut costs and they're going to go to those stores. So those stores, for the most part, I think will be fine. But I think on a retail perspective, because of inflation, some stores are going to fall. But I still think from food perspective, inflation is there. When it comes down to just getting goods, the inflation is there. So I think that oil plays a role, and it probably plays a big role, but it's not the only role that will pull inflation down because inflation is still in all of the other things that affect our daily lives. But but I still think that if oil comes down, it will affect inflation to the side of moving down, but there's still a lot more other inflation.
What I was saying though is oil's not the only thing. Oil is the main influence for inflation because it makes everything cost a lot more to transport it. So therefore that transportation cost is baked in. But you also look at shipping costs. Shipping costs have dropped drastically. You've seen natural gas. You've seen a lot of commodities that have been, the thing that everybody's been trading lately, all having these sharp corrections, and oil's now the new one. Also to address Catmull, talking about doesn't the Fed exclude gas and food from their calculation? They exclude it from their core inflation,
right?
But their headline inflation does not exclude that.
And everybody looks at the core inflation as which is wrong. You really should look at the core inflation.
But core inflation, that's the thing, is they exclude gas and food, but at the same time, everything needs to be transported. Everything needs to be moved to be able to sell it. And what moves that? Diesel trucks. You have boats and trucks and any type of vehicle for transportation to transport it to where it needs to its final destination, that uses higher price gas right now.
And you
So
said that
yeah,
shipping costs are going down. I ain't seen that yet. And I still see that, from the standpoint of getting goods, even from Amazon or whatever, that people are still incorporating an increase in delivery because of fuel. So I haven't seen that yet.
what's the transport? I'm trying to remember the name of it, but global ship, no. But you look at all the shipping companies, they've all taken a hit. But yeah, the shipping costs just in general for buying or buying a container to ship stuff across seas, that cost has dropped drastically over the last few months as well.
Okay. So
I gotta
that's where
find the
Maria's
index
talking
to
about what's
to
going
show
on
it,
with
but
Zim. And by the way, Chris, sub Chris J. Go ahead, Patrick.
oh, go for it. I'm
No,
looking it up real quick.
Zim, I think there's a lot of and if it's just on a shipping company or a couple, I don't know. I still think that they still are landlocked at all of these ports, and I think that because of that, still shipping companies have raised rates because of all of the delay in getting the stuff onto their ships or getting out of the ports and all that kind of stuff. I hadn't heard that. Something I'll look into, but I still think that oil plays a big role in a pullback in inflation. But I just wanted to bring to the forefront. It was just one of them. It was just because a lot, everything else is still high. Everything else is still high. All right, so that's on oil. Real quick, this is something that I get. I have a subscription to Biopharma Catalyst. It cost me like $1,000 trillion billion for this subscription. But part of the thing, knowing that the bio companies were on the move, I got key phase 3 catalysts to watch for the second half of 2022. 3 companies that I have in my list today: Vistagen, Alderia, and Intercept Pharmaceuticals. And what's going on with these companies is I do like the Vistagen for treatments for patients with anxiety and depression. There's a lot of that going on right now. All right, there's a lot of that, and this is a phase 3 catalysts, phase 3 trials, nasal spray to treat anxiety disorder. Alderia is a biotechnical company developing treatments for immune-mediated diseases. I don't know what those diseases are, but it's a big name, and it sounds like it's doing stuff. And it's also in a phase 3 to treat dry eye disease. All right. I don't know how many people have dry eye, but it's out there. And another one, Intercept, ICPT, developing therapeutics to treat progressive non-viral liver diseases. All right, so these are all 3 phase 3 news-driven stocks. And you know something? How many times have you seen a drug stock go up and you say, holy crap, what was going on? And I missed it. One of these stocks could be one of those stocks that go up exponentially. But these are all phase 3. And if the phase 3 comes out as a positive thing, this could be huge for the stock. And these could be one of those stocks that go up tremendously in a short amount of time. So I'm bringing that to the forefront. And there's one other stock that's not in this list, but I got news on. FDA clears Vertex, VRTX, to continue dosing in diabetes cell therapy trial. All right, so that's another stock in the space that I want you guys to keep your eyes on. The story just came out today. And I am a diabetic, but this is for type 1 diabetes. I'm a type 2 diabetic. But, type 1, the difference between type 1 and type 2 is that my pancreas still does what it's supposed to do, just not good enough. Type 1, their pancreas doesn't do jack. So this could be huge for those people who are type 1 diabetics. So I put that out there. Robert says, loves ICPT for long term. I'm going to take a look at that. It's one of my stocks in my list today.
Real quick, check your teams.
Teams. Joey's got it. Oh, did I do it wrong? World Container Index. Let me see if it pops up over here. There it is. All right, World Container Index, June 30th. Drewry's Composite World decreased by 3%. 3% ain't a lot. But
so looking from the high, it's decreased almost 50% since the highs back in the end of September, beginning of November.
That's from
then if you
over
scroll down even more
10,000 to about 7,000. So all right, and that's
scroll down
that's
even
cool.
more.
All right, I got you. Again, I hadn't heard, but thank you for that too.
But
all right, let me get
look at year to date. 16% annual, 24% Shanghai.
From Shanghai. 17. It's Shanghai because they suck. Okay. Is that me being? That's wrong. That's just mean. I'm gonna bring up here's your next one. This is yours.
Yeah. So, Glenn and I were talking about it this morning. Saw my first Rivian truck yesterday after picking the kids up from school, and you know what? I'm not really a fan of the Rivian, it's the Lucid car because, but the Rivian truck doesn't look too bad actually. It's not the coolest truck, but it is relative. I mean, it is pretty cool compared, for the fact that it's a new car company. It's all electric. And then I noticed this morning, I got into work, was looking at what's hot, what's not. Saw that Rivian was up nicely today. And then checked out the news and saw that their output is jumping, on track to build 25,000 electric vehicles this year, which isn't a lot, but it does show that there is some actual, substance behind the company. That's one of the things that a lot of people have been worried about, especially with Rivian's hit to Amazon and Ford's earnings last quarter, then the quarter before that, is can they get started? Can they start producing cars? Can they become relevant? And seeing a few Rivians actually on the road kind of proves that, they actually have that potential to be an actual car company, not just, being the next Tesla where you say you're going to produce cars for 5-6 years before you actually do. They're actually producing cars, and their cars aren't half bad. So I like this. I like, we've been bullish on electric vehicles really all year. I think with the higher gas prices, it kind of pushes people towards that. And with Rivian, jumping on their output and meeting their quota that they were expected to make for the year, I like the potential with this one.
And one of the big things I've talked about EVs a lot this year, one of the big things is when the rubber meets the road is, can they put the cars out? And this story says that they did. And I'm with you on that, Patrick. It's more than just being a good company on paper. Are you putting the cars out?
Yep.
Are you putting the cars out? All right, I'm going to piggyback right off of that. Tesla sold 78,000 China-made vehicles in June, up what? 142% versus May. That's huge. So 2 EV companies, and I've gotten a lot of pushback on EV stories because they're expensive and because of their batteries and because the charging. And I keep saying that the demand for these cars are there and that these companies like Lucid, like Rivian, like Tesla, like all of these companies have potential to make money. It ain't what you think politically. It ain't what you think personally. The demand is there. And you may not be wanting to spend the money on the car, but guess what, folks? There's a lot of people out there who are willing to spend the money on the car. And guess what? These companies are going to go up in price. Our job is just to bring that to you. Whether it's Rivian, whether it's Lucid, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Ford, GM, a lot of the main manufacturers are going where? Towards electric vehicles. So no matter what you think, no matter what I ain't going to buy that because, okay, then don't. But the demand is there, the conversation is there, and people are buying them. And if that's the case, what's going to happen to the vehicles, to these companies' prices, Patrick? They're going to go up.
Yeah. And
all right. So
one thing about
all
Tesla,
we're doing is bringing the stocks to your attention, no matter what you think about them. no matter what you think about the policy. We're trying to get you an opportunity to make some money and giving you the story behind why.
The thing with Tesla, though, is even though they produce everybody's focused on the car numbers, you got to remember Tesla's number one moneymaker is selling carbon credits, not selling cars. So even if they don't really produce a whole lot of cars, as long as they continue to sell their carbon credits, they'll continue to make money. So while it's nice looking at numbers, Tesla, I mean, yeah, they need to sell some cars, but the majority of their money comes from selling the carbon credits, not from selling cars.
And not only that, even if that's the case, Patrick, they're still selling more cars than anybody out there from an electric perspective.
Agreed, yeah.
All right, so I still think that the number does make a difference because still the rubber meets the road. They're meeting the demands. And you probably, something, they're probably still backlogged on people who still want the cars, but they're putting the cars out there.
I think people are slowly getting tired, though, with Tesla of, autopilot's coming next year. It's coming next year, and then it never comes. Or, the Cybertruck, supposed to come out in 2000.
I hope it never comes out.
Now 2022. Now
the
potentially
Cybertruck is ugly.
But dude, it's a reoccurring habitual lying from Elon Musk that people are kind of getting fed up on. And now the fact that we have Rivian, we have Lucid coming out, I think they could be serious competitors for Tesla. And if they have the quality, if their cars are made well and put together well, I mean, it really is possible to see them take that number one spot in the next few years. Maybe not right now, I get it, but 3-5 years down the road, Tesla may not be that number one spot.
I think just because the sheer size of it, but anything can happen. I think that Lucid is the company that will go after it on a range basis because Lucid's got the cars out there that are 500 plus miles on a charge. Yeah. And someone said it takes 9 hours to charge 350. Nah, I think that if you dig a little deeper than that, Lou, if you dig a little deeper in that, a lot of these charging capabilities are a lot less than that. I've seen stories where you can charge a vehicle in like an hour or in 30 minutes based upon the charger. So I'm dispelling that. And there's probably some people out there, there's a couple of people that I do know that have Teslas. I need to talk to them and see how long it takes for them to charge their Teslas or what the capabilities are to charge it in a lesser amount of time. I bet you if you get some kind of charge, you can get some kind of charger that some kind of super high charger. We'll see. Clyde says.
Oh, but speaking of Tesla, did you also see now you can go and sign up for Starlink?
I saw that somebody said
it's like $200 a year, and you have to pay $600 up front for their setup cost or whatever it is. But now you can go and sign up for Starlink and start using the network.
That's gonna be huge.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
This looks like Clyde says, I won't buy an EV anytime soon, but I love the stock. I earned $56,000 for a small EV. And I hear you. But the whole idea of me doing, or Patrick doing the stories on the EVs, I ain't trying to change nobody's mind to go buy the car. That's not what it's all about. It's for you to take advantage of the companies to make money. That's what it is. That's what it is. John says, I will buy an EV when Joe buys me one. I think if you go talk to him, he might. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going down that. I'm not going down that path. It's too wide open. I'm so not going down that path. All right. Here's another story that I got. Defensive stocks to watch now. I've got 5 stocks from this. Costco, General Electric, FedEx, Kellogg, and Kroger. They go into why they think all of these stocks are defensive stocks. I'm just going to use the VectorVest software to take a look at those stocks and see if they really are good defensive stocks. All right. And the last story here was on Pfizer. And that's all the stories we got today. All right. That's all the stories that we got today. Now let's go look at, we'll do Patrick's picks first. Let's go look at Patrick's picks from last week. All right, these were his stocks from last week. It says, is Starlink faster than DSL and spectrums of the world? I don't know a lot about Starlink, Can you talk on it much?
So from looking at their website, yes, it's still going to have the same kind of issues the satellite does, where you have to have clear skies to be able to use it. If it's cloudy or thunderstorms, obviously it's going to block the connection. But from what I was reading on the specs, it is going to be a whole lot faster than Windstream or any of those services that are satellite internet currently.
So it's a satellite internet.
Well, satellite internet or cable, that kind of
Okay.
thing. Cable and internet, I kind of concluded as one, since you get the same service from the same provider.
Okay.
Or you get both services from the same provider. But yeah, they were looking at, it was saying a 20 millisecond latency from their Starlink system, which is absolutely phenomenal. My internet at home, I get a 60 millisecond latency. 60 is good. 20 is absolutely phenomenal, especially if you're a gamer or streaming or doing anything that is data intensive.
So are you going to say that a gamer can use a satellite to game?
With a 20 millisecond latency? Yes. That's
wow.
That's 3 times better than what I get on my current Wi-Fi at home.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're somebody who uses a lot of data and you don't typically have a lot of storms and a whole lot of clouds, basically if you live in the middle of Australia, then yes, you will have an awesome experience using the Starlink system.
And Energy just said they just approved Starlink on trains, planes, and buses. Elon said it'll be publicly traded at some point. Ooh-wee. That's going to be something to keep your eyes on,
So
baby.
Roger just message as well. I'm getting 500 megabyte to 200 megabytes on Starlink. So right now, I have 200, I think is what I pay for. So if he's getting about that, and I have a landline, obviously we're getting fiber pretty soon, so I'll be upgrading that and getting a lot better speeds. But
they're not going to they're not putting fiber in Mooresville yet.
Yeah, they are. I've got it. I'll be having it at the end of the summer. I think August is when they expect to turn on service for us.
From who?
TDS Communications, basically. MI Connection, their new parent company.
You need to hook me up with that, because I've been trying to get fiber at home. Are you on the lake side or the non-lake side?
117 side.
You on my side?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I need that. Okay.
So yeah, he's getting about the same speeds as I'm getting with just a standard, at home connection. So that's not bad. That's a lot better than most, internets that you're getting from satellite. So that's a whole heck of a lot better than any internet service you're getting from satellite.
I like what Drew said. Everybody is going to be a gagillionaire. I love that commercial. All right. Let's go take a look at your stocks from last week. 629. Let's quick test them all. And by the way, Patrick said that LRN was his bearish play. All right, that was his bearish play.
0.5%. Come on, man. Now we're just.
It was up more. It was up more than
here.
that. It was up more than that today. Probably took a hit, but that was his bearish play. He had Fang. Ooh.
Yeah, that was my oil play. That was the safest oil stock out there.
And then he had GM, but all of his other stocks, out of the 10, he had 8 winners, only 2 losers. Up a little bit, not as much as the spiders, but not a bad list of stocks to make money. There you go. Good picks. All right, let's go look at your picks this week. And let's go stream these. There you go. So now we already looked at Rivian. You can talk about the rest of them. And then I'll do mine after yours.
Yeah. So Celsius Holdings has a great looking chart. It's also a really solid company. Granted, it is overvalued currently, but it has a strong RV, strong RS, strong RT, good fundamentals. The company's setting up for a really nice chart pattern as well. Same thing I noticed, I think it was LABU, also kind of exhibiting the same kind of, or no, I think it was LABU or Drip, one of the two, also exhibiting the same kind of pattern. So we'll talk about those in a second. We saw Rivian, obviously, due to the output numbers that they came out with, doing well still today. holding in over 10%, so still staying in double-digit territory. It is overvalued, yes, but if they're actually producing cars and they can start ramping up production, they definitely have a lot of upside. But obviously the numbers are going to be speculative because they're still so early in their life phase or their life cycle here. But then biotech, this is something we talked about in the Jockey Club yesterday. It's our live trading when we do Monday through Friday. We noticed that one of our indicators that we use, our intraday timing system that we have here at VectorVest that we use in our Jockey Club, was showing that, even though the markets were opening up bearish and the markets were selling off right out of the gate, that there was something going on that we couldn't see with the naked eye that was, really starting to turn around and give us a sign that, hey, maybe things are changing. Maybe the markets maybe oversold and maybe, looking a little bit better than what we can just see by looking at the actual, overall numbers. Turns out a couple of minutes later, when we started digging, we started seeing biotech popping up left, right, and center. So LABU, I have to put it in here. You have a lot of potential. Biotech has been a really hot area right now over the last few days, and you could see a lot of upside coming from it. And when we take a look at LABU's chart, there seems to be a lot of consolidation right now as well, which could indicate a lot of people or big money institutions buying into these lows, loading up before we start to see it move higher. So kind of a bottom fishing opportunity, but wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. And then DRIP is one we got into yesterday in our Jockey Club. Last time I looked, we were up over, we got in at 25.98. Right now it's trading at 27.51. So we're up, what is that, $1.50 almost, roughly. Yeah, about $1.50. So yeah, that's up nicely, up almost 10%. I'd assume if I did the math correctly, but right around there. But yeah, if you want to see these live trades, make sure to join in for the Jockey Club. If you're not already a member, give our support a call. Maybe there's a link down below you can sign up for. But yeah, it's a great time. And some of those stocks that we got into have been doing extremely well here. So if we take a look at the graphs.
Mark Norton is officially on timeout right now.
Uh-oh.
Because he put in there, I heard that the Jockey Club has its own watch list folder. He's doing that to mess with me. All right, so he's on timeout right now.
All right, so CELH. So from a longer term perspective, I like this one. They create a diet beverage or drink our drink and lose weight, basically. But one of the patterns, let's go ahead, put it on a weekly. Let's go 1 year. Take off that support resistance. But you have the cup pulling back for the handle and then breaking out past that handle as of this week, since we're on a weekly. People, if you're going to be looking at a cup and handle, you typically look at it from a longer term perspective. That's why I'm putting it on the weeklies here. But you have that cup and handle pattern showing. Obviously, you can see it on an end of day as well. But, for all the people out there that, say, oh, needs to be on a weekly or needs to be a longer term pattern, there you go. Make you guys happy out there. But yeah, you basically see a nice consolidation here now starting to run, breaking through some resistance. Let's go ahead and put that back on now. Can't see the numbers because it's too small, but you have a breakout through resistance here. I would even be more inclined, let's go ahead, horizontal cursor, to put a resistance level at, what is that,
71.66.
Yeah, 71.66, somewhere around that range, 72. But you have a breakout from that level. So yeah, I like the play. Earnings are steadily rising. Volume's been increasing. RT's been increasing. Definitely has some potential to continue to run. Moving on to the next, DRIP. DRIP is another one. We'll take off earnings for this one. Zoom in, let's say to a 6-month. DRIP, similar situation. You had the cup forming right here. Pull back for the handle right to support. Now breaking through that high, also that resistance level. So yeah, I like the play. We talked about it. oil's been on a nice steady run ever since November of 2020. And I mean, yeah, you saw an increase in that momentum whenever, or back in February, the end of February, when we started seeing the Russia issues coming into play. And that has, accelerated that upward move. So yes, when the downward move comes, it's going to be more pronounced, if you will, or it's going to be a lot more drastic than what you would typically see in a sell-off. So drip, while long term, oil definitely has a lot of potential. I like the oil stocks, like I showed last week with Fang. For short term, I think drip has still some more upside potential to come. So wanted to add that in here, but I like the cup and handle pattern. So there. For technical traders, have fun with that one. LABU has been seeing a huge increase in volume ever since about the beginning of May, where the stock has been moving sideways. So you're seeing a huge increase in volume. The stock price really hasn't changed anywhere. That tends to show you that, big institutions, large money is loading up here at these lows, averaging price of roughly about $6.50 a share if you just took a median of that sideways move. And now all of a sudden you're starting to see it break out to a new high, breaking through this resistance right here at around, what is that, 7 and some change or so?
794.
There you go. And so RT's also starting to rise. Would like to see that get back above 1, but from a bottom fishing play, LABU's gotten beaten up a lot here this year. And I think that's why we're seeing that increase in volume, is that's big money loading up at these lows, expecting to see it starting to rock and roll, starting to move higher here. So it just shows a lot of accumulation going on right now, which is what you want to see if you're going to be jumping on board for a bigger move. Trade with the big boys, follow the trend, let the trend be your friend. So I like LABU. Only thing is I don't like about it, if it does start to pull back, you don't have a whole lot of support from where it's currently at towards that low. And that low is right around 406 or so, if I'm not mistaken.
460.
And that's a pretty big haircut if you're not using some sort of money management. So in that sort of situation, if you're wanting to jump on board, follow the VectorVest guidelines of, the 1% rule. Never give back more than 50% of your profit on anything over 10%. Make sure you have some sort of stops in place to manage that, so that way you're not seeing it drop for 50% before cutting your loss on that one. Last but not least, we have Rivian, which is getting a nice boost here today. Granted, it has been steadily moving lower. Rivian's been beaten up pretty bad. But with orders starting to come through, with production starting to ramp up, there's definitely a bright future. You do have this resistance right here around 33 and some change. I would like to see it break above that, maybe start nibbling on this one a little bit. And then as we break through that resistance, use that as another opportunity to add a little bit more to your position. That way, you can take on these riskier plays or more speculative plays. But at the same time, managing your risk and keeping your risk low by utilizing some money management strategies on that one. Also, RT, why price has been moving sideways here, RT has been picking up, showing a lot of upside momentum starting to build. And I like seeing that. And with a big push today, this could be an interesting opportunity going forward, or at least for the short term here. Thoughts?
I like that divergence right there, with the stock moving sideways, but RT moving higher. I like that. And you know me, I'm all about the EVs for the purposes, again, not because it's an opportunity for you guys to make money. I like that. I like the news behind it. The 3 and the H looks like it's crossing. I like the rise in RT and the good volume. I'm like that. And I like just about all your picks this week. LABU, I think, look at that beautiful level of finding support, bouncing up on nice volume. Mm-hmm. Your drip trade. Only thing I don't like about the drip trade is the big wick at the top, even though this is a little bit of an indecision day, but a lot more selling pressure than buying pressure, bouncing off that level of support. We'll see.
So the one thing, though, is volume. Volume doesn't really give me too much worry, especially with it trading above that level of resistance right there.
Okay.
So
I'm just pointing that out. That's
yeah,
all. I still think short term you're right. And sell, I do like the move up. Nice volume RT above 1. So I like your picks to this week. I like your
yeah, and
picks.
drip, was one that was up a lot more earlier this morning. But yeah, I mean, right now it is showing a doji, showing some indecision, but we'll have to
It's all
see. I
right.
mean, the only way the Fed starts tightening or the Fed continues to tighten is if oil continues to go up. If oil continues to decline, I think we'll see a cool off enough in inflation that the Fed will start to
Oh, we're going to get
be more
quantitative
relaxed.
easing. We're going to get checks. No, we're not. No, no.
Yay.
No, we don't. Michael says, Glenn, what do you think about a company selling 69 million shares at 360, which is trading at 235, which is oil, which giving half of its cash to its shares? I don't know. You got to give me the company. I'm not going to look at it just quite yet, but you need to give me the company. You need to put that in the community chat, Michael. All right, here's my stocks from last week. Let's quick test them. Ooh.
Yes.
Out of the 7,
yes.
I got 4. I got more winners than losers. But DVAX, my drug stock up 9%. Tesla, I had it last week. I got it again this week, up 2%. There's my stock, LRN, that Patrick didn't really like at all. It's up 0.75%. But my energy stocks are what got me beat.
You went too bullish on energy yet last week. I went a little, but not too much.
Yep, and so that's what hurt. But I love that both of us still. You did better. You got 8 and 2. I had 4 and 3. So those were my picks from last week. Let's talk about my picks for this week. Let's stream these. All right, my drug stocks: VRTX, ALDX, and ICPT. Those are my drug stocks. Again, all of these were phase 3 stories. Hold, buy. VRTX, solid company, relative value, relative safety, both above 1. Whereas ALDX and ICPT are both the speculative plays. But all 3 of these stocks have phase 3 coming out on them. So these could be phase 3 catalysts. And we'll see. Which is the best bullish and bearish search in VectorVest?
I mean, that's personal preference.
That is personal preference.
And that's why you can also use, if you want to look for the best bullish and bearish search in VectorVest at any given time. Glenn, do you know a tool that does that for you?
I sure do. It's in this same tab called the Viewers tab. And it's
Not
called the trade.
But okay.
Huh? I was going to go. I was going to go to the Trading Systems Viewer. What was your idea?
The Derby tab.
That's another one. All right,
literally
that's another
shows you
one.
the best performing search at any given time.
You know something? I loved showing this, but then something, and we're not going to get deep into it. Let's do this real quick. We've got a tool called the Derby, which tracks the movement of, in this case, 161 searches, 161 VectorVest searches. And at any given time throughout the day, we can see what searches are doing the best. I am not going to dive in to show you the stocks that are in these searches, but we can see what searches out of 161 searches, which searches are doing the best. We can tune in and see what stocks are moving the most. We've got a timing signal based off of this called the DTI, the Derby Timing Indicator. But as of right now, at this particular point in time in the day, we've got more of a bearish bias than a bullish bias, and more of our bearish searches are making money than bullish searches. This is part of our day trading room called the Jockey Club every Monday through Friday, where we do this. Now, another way to see what the best bullish and bearish searches are is go to our trading system viewer, where you can see, no, Patrick is right. Derby is probably more intuitive.
Yeah, if you don't have the Derby, then you're going to have to do a lot of quick testing and a lot of individual search running and quick testing, and that's going to take a lot of hours.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Derby tool, this is what we use for our day trading, is the better tool.
If you're looking for a trading strategy and a whole-on trading plan, obviously trading system viewer, but if you're looking for the best performing search at any given time, there's nothing else other than Derby.
I'm with you on that. All right, so those were my drug stocks. Tesla was on news of the amount of vehicles it brought out, And my 5 defense stocks were Costco, Kroger, Kellogg, General Electric, and FedEx. All right, so that's where all of my stocks came from today. My list, I've got 10 stocks this week. Let's go see from the standpoint of my combination of best by VST. I still like, this is a pharmaceutical, but it's got a phase 3. It's the best stock in the list, followed by Tesla, then by FedEx with a VST of 1.14. The ones that I'd pay attention to, even though that's a defense stock and that's a defense stock, I've got VSTs below 1. 2 of those stocks are sell recommendations. These are more aggressive, speculative plays, even though, again, Kellogg and General Electric were those defense plays, but the VectorVest software is telling me, I don't know if it's so defensive. All right. That's the purpose behind the story, but using the VectorVest software to determine. Let's go view the stock graphs. Put these on a 6-month, put them on a 3-month graph. Now, and I've got value on here. I like it when a stock is undervalued because price, as you can see, all this undervalued. What did price do? It rose to meet value. Now, price is over its value, which most likely means that price will fall. I think short term, because of the phase 3, I like the stock short term, but long term, because it is overvalued, I'd be very careful. RT is on the rise. I think that the phase 3 news might push it higher, but this is not a stock that I really want to hold super duper long term. As I look at Tesla, on the other hand, is falling in a channel right now, sitting between a value of 759 up to the upside to 623 to the downside. Straight up channel. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is overvalued, but it's a company that does make money. Look at the earnings per share over and over. It makes money. Right now, I just sit tight on it. If I own it, I'd leave it alone. But if it falls below this solid level of support, I'd probably think about selling half my shares or getting out of the position. FedEx, undervalued, like it. Falling down right now, and I think a lot of that's got to go with, and this is on the air freight side, jet fuel, whether it's fuel, cars, or whatever, is playing a role here, I think. But I do like that it's undervalued as a defense play. Relative value, relative safety, both above the value of 1. Earnings are rising. RT is above 1, but leveling out. I do like the earnings. Earnings is the engine that drives the stock's price higher. I'd keep my eye on it. If I'm going to get into it, I'm going to wait for the 3 to go back above the 8. Last time that happened, it gave you a good short-term opportunity. And I think because of oil and because of the price of fuel, it's going to be affected. But even with that, it's overall been going up. People still need stuff, right? People still need stuff. Let's go to the next one real quick. Costco, way overvalued, but it's on the move. All right, as a defense play, relative value, not above 1. Doesn't have good upside potential. Relative safety is above 1. Earnings is rising. The company is making money. So this is another place where people are going to go to because it's a bulk store to try to feed families during high inflation. Costco is going to be one of those companies too. All right, when you look at the Walmarts and the Targets and Costco.
I like the BJ's personally.
I'm a BJ's person too. You know why I like
you
BJ's? You know why I like BJ's? Because they take coupons. Shut up, Patrick. I hate you. I so hate you. Oh my gosh. I am so got to. I gotta leave it. OMG. Wow. Again, I'm turning red. And you are too right now. You are so turning red. That was so wrong.
You made that too easy, man. Give me the low-hanging fruit.
That was so wrong. That was so wrong. Oh my gosh. No, I didn't see that coming.
Man.
I so did not see that coming. I so fell in that hook, line, and sinker. I hate you for that, Patrick. I so hate you. All right, Kroger, another one going down, and they say there's a defense stock. I don't know. I don't know if is Kroger one of the companies, one of the food markets that people are going to save money. I've never been, so I don't know. But you would think that where people have to go buy food, that it could be a defense stock. Relative value, relative safety. It's a solid company as far as fundamentals. Earnings are going up, but the overall trend of the stock is down. The overall trend of the stock is down. So it may be looked at as a defense stock from that news article. I'd probably look for a better company. I do like it fundamentally. I like it fundamentally, but the graph is just not it. I'm not feeling that. It is overvalued, but interesting. Value is rising to meet the stock. So forward, value is rising on the stock. Could that be a good sign for it? Even though the price hasn't responded, that could be a very interesting play. This is normally not what happens. Price normally falls to meet value. In this case, it did. Look at that, but value is rising as well. I want you to keep your eyes on that. Ms. McClintock says it's Kroger is awesome. This is very interesting. I would definitely keep my eye on it. This is my other drug stock, phase 3 earnings. That doesn't surprise me because a lot of these companies, and both Patrick and I both said it, put a lot of money behind the drugs, but then the companies, blah, 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 blah. But this could be phase 3 story moving up. I do like the move up. I don't like the earnings, but this could be short term a good play, especially if
buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah, this is one of those kinds of plays. But if the phase 3 hits, this could be one of these stocks that go up 400, 500, 600%. How many times have we seen that happen? This could be one. I'm not saying that it is, but it could be one. What is this? Kellogg's. Way overvalued, but moving up. Why? Because Kellogg's are cheap. Who still eats cornflakes? I don't know. I guess a lot of people do, but it's moving up.
They make other cereals other than cornflakes.
No, it doesn't matter. It's all about cornflakes. All right. It's all about cornflakes.
Fair enough.
The stock is way overvalued though, but it is moving up during inflationary times. Here's my third stock on phase 3, moving up. Earnings. This is one of those biomedicals that is making money, and it's moving up. I'm moving a little fast because Patrick talked a lot today. GE, they bring good things to living. They bring good things to life. That's an old commercial before your time. I'm not feeling that as a defense company right now. Relative value below 1, relative safety below 1. That's why I bring the articles to the table. The articles said that this is a good defense stock. I'm not feeling that. I'm so not feeling that. 3 and 8 on the short-term basis. I'm not feeling the earnings. I'm not feeling this as a defense stock. All right, I'm so not feeling this as a defense stock. And the last stock is another one, VTGM. Oh, VRTX was the stock that was getting the FDA approval. All right, but VTGM is another phase 3. I like the bounce. 3 and 8 could be crossing on better volume. But again, earnings on a lot of these drug companies, earnings are not so good. 3 of these stocks are on phase 3 alert. So I put it up that way. All right, Joey, can you put us on? Joey was falling asleep. Joey was saying that we talked too long today. I hate you, Joey. Okay. All right. Anybody else got anything? Oh, well, between Patrick and I, we're going to put out that, that community post so that you guys can put your stocks. Hopefully next week we'll have more stocks to look at. And if we probably will do 6. If we get that many, Patrick will do 3, I'll do 3. No. How many times? Wait till we put up the post. Wait till we put up the post, okay? All right. So with that, we're about to sign off. That was a lot of stocks today. We did a lot of stocks.
We covered a lot today.
And we didn't do a lot of news today. Somebody on Facebook didn't like it last week. So we didn't do a lot of news today. But I do like, you guys said you like the combination of the two. So we did some news, but we did a lot of looking at stocks today. And before we go, let's go see what the market's doing. Market. Where's my graph?
Also, if you haven't, hit that like button.
Look at that. Oh, Patrick can't see it. Can you put us back on to, do I? No.
Huh?
There we go. No, I want him to see it.
Oh, I can see it.
Oh, he can see that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Look at that. Can they see that? No, they can't see that.
One of the things, though, I was looking at the major indices with the MACD. on an intraday basis, MACD is showing bearish divergence coming into the close. So I'm a little cautious with that one.
Okay. All right. But since we've been on, you guys said you wanted me to make the market go up. Look at that. Yeah. How about that? Ooh, I did it. It had nothing to do with the Fed. It had nothing to do with the Fed. All right. Fed notes came out today, right? Energy. Yep. They came out at 2:00 and the market took off a little bit. And then Glenn made the market go up for the rest of the day. It was all Glenn. Woo! All right. Patrick, you want to close this out, buddy?
I closed this out last week. This is your time.
Oh, you did?
Time to shine.
All right. Folks, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. If you like the content, how many likes did we get today? If you like the content, hit the like button. Please hit the like button. I want to get 100 likes. All right, let's see if we get 100 likes before we go, if you haven't hit it. Hopefully some of you shared it. All right, Alex said we almost went for 2 hours. Dang, we almost did go for, wow, we did. It's all Joey's fault. Anyway, tomorrow, Patrick is going to be on YouTube for a great hour at 11 o'clock, talking about our mobile app. If you're a subscriber to the VectorVest software, you always have access to the mobile app. There's a lot of people that only use the mobile app, but Patrick takes you through how to effectively use the mobile app on the go and always stay in tune with what's going on in the market with the mobile app. At 2:00 tomorrow, I'll be taking you through Trending Thursday, what sectors and industries are trending. I think I'm going to use that same methodology that we used today. What industries have gone up over the last 20 days and have gone up even higher or more on the last 10 days. So we'll do a little bit more of that tomorrow. I'll give you some stocks to look at. Patrick's definitely going to give you some stock picks to look at. So between the both of us, you guys should walk away with some good plays lasting you up into next week. With that, Patrick, you got anything else you want to say before I take us all the way out?
No.
All right. So with that, folks, adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir, sayonara, aloha to all my peeps in Hawaii. Bom dia, salam, shalom, namaste, yasu. Until next time, folks, see ya.